Everyone in the capital city knew the stables. And everyone knew the boy who worked there. He was called nothing but Stable Boy. No one cared to ask his real name. He cleaned the floors before sunrise. He fed the horses before the guards woke up. His hands were always dirty, his clothes old and torn. When nobles passed by, they covered their noses. When soldiers saw him, they laughed. "Move," they said. "Don't look at us," they warned. "You are just a boy who cleans after animals." He never replied. The boy kept his head low. Not because he was weak, but because he had learned something early in life: words could hurt less if you did not answer them. He worked in silence. He listened more than he spoke. And when the city slept, he looked at the sky and wondered why his heart felt heavy, like it carried something unseen. The empire he lived in was powerful. Its armies ruled many worlds. Its kings feared nothing. Nothing, except old stories. Stories of ancient dragons. The elders said the dragons were gone. Burned out by time. Lost to history. Just myths told to scare children. But lately, people whispered again. Ships vanished near the outer systems. Mountains cracked on distant planets. The stars themselves seemed uneasy. The stable boy heard these whispers too. That night, after finishing his work, he stayed behind. One horse was restless, shaking and breathing hard. The boy placed a hand on its neck, slow and gentle. The animal calmed at once. It always did when he touched them. Horses trusted him. Creatures always did. Then the ground trembled. At first, he thought it was thunder. But the sky was clear. The air grew warm, like a distant fire. The horses panicked, pulling at their chains. The boy stepped back, his heart racing. That was when he heard it. A voice. Deep. Ancient. Not loud, yet powerful enough to fill his mind. "You are awake at last." The boy froze. He looked around. No one was there. The city walls stood quiet. Guards slept in their towers. Still, the voice remained. Blood remembers what the world forgot. Pain shot through his hand. He cried out and dropped to his knees. A strange symbol burned on his skin, glowing with soft golden light. He stared at it in shock. He had never seen it before. Yet somehow, it felt familiar. The ground shook again, stronger this time. From beyond the mountains, a dark shape moved across the sky. Too large to be a ship. Too alive to be a shadow. Heat rolled through the air, and the stars seemed to dim. The boy stood slowly, fear mixing with something else. Recognition. Somewhere deep inside him, a truth stirred. Not as words, but as memory. A memory older than this city. Older than the empire. Older than fear itself. The voice returned, softer now. "They mocked you because they do not know you." The light on his hand faded, leaving only warmth behind. The boy clenched his fist. His heart pounded, not with terror, but with purpose. Behind the mountains, something massive roared. Not in anger. Not in hunger. In greeting. The stable boy looked toward the dark horizon. For the first time in his life, he did not feel small. He felt chosen. And far above the sleeping city, the ancient dragons began their return. Morning came, but the city did not wake in peace. People gathered in the streets, pointing at the sky. Ships returned with damaged hulls. Messengers ran to the palace with pale faces. The night's tremors had not been a dream. Something real had moved beyond the mountains, something old and powerful. The stable boy heard the fear in every voice. As he worked, he noticed people looking at him differently. Not with respect, yet, but with confusion. The symbol on his hand was gone, but the warmth remained. He felt stronger, sharper. Sounds were clearer. Even the air felt alive around him. When a guard shoved him aside, the boy almost reacted. Almost. He stopped himself. Not yet, he thought. Whatever was happening, it was not meant to be shown in anger. By noon, the elders called an emergency council. Ancient records were taken out, sealed scrolls opened for the first time in centuries. Holograms lit the dark chamber, showing old stars, burning worlds, and shapes with wings of fire. Dragons. Not beasts. Not monsters. Allies. Long ago, humans and dragons ruled together. Not through force, but through balance. Humans carried will and choice. Dragons carried power and memory. Together, they protected the galaxy. But fear broke that bond. Kings tried to control dragons. Wars followed. Worlds burned. In the end, the dragons vanished, taking the truth with them. History was rewritten. Humans became rulers alone. Dragons became legends. One elder whispered the final line from an ancient text. When the last bond wakes, fire will bow again. Far from the council hall, the stable boy collapsed. Images flooded his mind. Skies filled with wings. Cities of crystal and flame. A human standing before dragons, not as a king, but as a bridge. He saw himself, older, stronger, crowned by light. He gasped and woke, lying in the hay. A young soldier stood over him, nervous. "You fainted," the soldier said. "You should not be here. This place is unsafe." The boy nodded and stood. As he did, every horse nearby lowered its head. The soldier stepped back, confused. Animals did not do that. That evening, alarms rang across the city. From the mountain range, a massive shape rose into the clouds. Flames marked its path, yet no fire touched the land. It was controlled. Focused. Watching from the walls, people cried in terror. The stable boy walked forward. Guards tried to stop him, but hesitated. Something about him felt wrong to challenge. The symbol on his hand flickered once more, faint but clear. From the sky, the dragon's eyes met his. Not with hatred. With relief. A voice echoed, not just in his mind, but in the minds of all who watched. The bond lives. The dragon did not attack. It circled once, then flew higher, disappearing into the stars. Silence followed. The boy turned away from the wall. His hands shook, but his heart was steady. He understood now. He was not special by birth. He was chosen by duty. The world had forgotten its past. But the past had not forgotten him. And somewhere beyond the stars, the ancient dragons were gathering. Not to destroy humanity, but to kneel before it once more. The next day, the city stood frozen in fear. No ships entered the capital. No traders arrived. Even the sky lanes were empty. It was as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. Soldiers lined the walls. Cannons turned toward the mountains. The Empire prepared for war against something it did not understand. The stable boy stood near the outer gate, unnoticed among the crowd. People argued loudly. Some demanded attack. Others begged the kings to surrender. No one agreed. Fear made everyone foolish. Fear made everyone loud. Then the sky changed. The blue faded into dark red. Clouds twisted and burned. Wind howled through the streets, knocking people to the ground. Sirens screamed across the city. Children cried. Kings ran. From the clouds, shapes appeared. Not one dragon. Not two. Hundreds. Ancient dragons filled the sky, their wings blocking the stars. Their scales burned like living fire. Their eyes glowed with wisdom older than empires. Each movement shook the ground below. The city fell silent. Weapons powered up. Cannons aimed. A general raised his hand, ready to give the order to fire. That was when the stable boy stepped forward. Laughter broke out at first. Nervous, desperate laughter. "It's just the stable boy," someone said. "He's lost his mind," another shouted. "Get him out of the way." But the boy kept walking. Every step felt heavy, yet right. The symbol on his hand burned bright now, shining through the air like a signal. He stopped at the edge of the great plaza, directly beneath the dragons. The largest dragon descended. Its body alone was larger than the palace. Heat rolled across the ground, yet the boy did not burn. Dust rose around him. Soldiers fell back, shielding their eyes. The dragon's massive head lowered. The crowd waited for fire. Instead, the dragon bowed. One knee touched the ground. Wings folded. The sound echoed across the city like thunder. Then the impossible happened. Every dragon in the sky followed. Hundreds of ancient beings lowered their heads toward the stable boy. The earth shook, not in destruction, but in respect. People screamed in shock. Kings dropped to their knees. Soldiers lowered their weapons. The general's hand trembled, then fell to his side. The boy stood still, heart racing. A voice echoed through the minds of all who watched. "We have found the last bond." The boy lifted his hand, unsure, afraid. He had no crown. No armor. No title. Yet the dragons waited for him. The largest dragon spoke again. "You were hidden so you could grow free. You were mocked so you could remain humble." Memories filled the air, shared with every human present. They saw the past, humans and dragons standing together, protecting worlds, ending wars, saving life across the galaxy. Tears filled many eyes. The boy finally spoke. His voice was quiet, but it carried. "I am not your master," he said. "I am just a boy." The dragon's eyes softened. "You are the bridge. That is enough." Silence followed. The sky slowly brightened. Flames faded. Fear weakened its grip. The stable boy turned back toward the city that once mocked him. He saw shame on many faces. Fear on others. Hope on a few. This was not the end. It was the beginning of judgment. And choice. And the galaxy was watching. The city did not cheer. It could not. People stood frozen, staring at the boy and the dragons kneeling before him. Pride broke first. Then fear followed. Many who once mocked him now felt small, not because he demanded it, but because truth stood in front of them. The largest dragon lifted its head slightly and spoke again. Its voice was calm, steady, and filled with memory. Long ago, humans and dragons were bound by choice, not chains. One human was born in every age to keep that bond alive. When fear destroyed trust, we left. We waited. The boy listened, his chest tight. "We hid you among the lowest," the dragon continued. "So power would not poison you." Images spread through the minds of the crowd. They saw past lives of the bond, humans who refused crowns, who stopped wars, who chose mercy when revenge was easy. Each life ended quietly, without statues or praise. The boy understood now why his life had been so simple. Why animals trusted him. Why pain never made him cruel. Why silence felt safer than anger. A king stepped forward, shaking. "If you are the bond," he said, "then command them. Order the dragons to serve the empire." The boy turned and looked at the king. For the first time, his eyes held authority. "No," he said. The word was soft, but it landed hard. He faced the dragons. "Stand," he told them. At once, the dragons rose. Wings unfolded. The ground steadied. Gasps filled the plaza. The boy turned back to the people. This bond was never about control, he said. It was about balance. You forgot that. Silence followed. Even the kings listened. You ruled with fear, he continued. You mocked the weak. You chased power and lost wisdom. That is why the dragons left. The truth hurt more than fire ever could. A general stepped forward and dropped his weapon. Others followed. One by one, pride fell. The boy felt the weight of it all pressing on his shoulders. He could destroy this empire. The dragons would obey. The galaxy would burn at a single word. But that was never his purpose. He took a breath. I will not rule you, he said. I will not punish you. People looked up in disbelief. I will remind you, he continued, what you once were meant to be. He turned to the dragons. Guard the worlds again, he said. Not as weapons. As protectors. The dragons bowed their heads once more, not in submission, but in promise. Light spread across the sky as the dragons lifted into the air, taking positions across the system. No fire fell. No cities burned. For the first time in generations, people felt safe. The boy walked away from the plaza. No guards stopped him. No king spoke. They watched him pass, unsure whether to kneel or stand aside. He returned to the stables. The horses welcomed him as always. He touched their necks, calm and steady. He was still the same boy. Still wore simple clothes. Still slept on hay. But the world was no longer the same. That night, as stars moved quietly above, the boy looked up and whispered, I am ready. Far beyond the city, ancient dragons answered, not with roars, but with silence. Respectful silence. The galaxy had been warned. The final choice was yet to come. The morning sun rose over a changed world. The empire announced a new age, but the boy was not there to hear it. No throne waited for him. No crown touched his head. While officials argued over laws and kings spoke of unity, the boy walked beyond the city walls alone. The dragons remained. They hovered in distant skies, guarding trade paths, calming storms, watching borders. Worlds that once feared invasion now slept peacefully. The galaxy felt smaller, quieter, safer. And yet, the boy chose to leave. He walked across open plains where grass bent gently in the wind. Old ruins stood half buried in the earth, reminders of empires that once thought they would last forever. He did not stop to look back. A small village took him in that night. The people did not know who he was. They offered him water, bread, and a place near the fire. The boy thanked them and helped repair a broken fence. No one mocked him. No one bowed. It felt right. In the weeks that followed, stories spread across the galaxy. Children whispered about a stable boy who spoke to dragons. Soldiers told tales of a human who stopped a war without lifting a weapon. Kings argued over how to honor him. They never found him. Because he never stayed where he was praised. The dragons knew where he was. From high above, they watched quietly. They did not follow him openly. That was his wish. But when danger came near, it always passed before reaching him. Storms changed direction. Beasts turned away. Fate itself seemed careful around him. One evening, the boy sat by a river, watching the water flow. He thought about the life he could have taken. Power. Glory. Fear. He felt no regret. The bond was not meant to shine. It was meant to guide. He placed his hand into the water. The familiar warmth spread through his fingers, gentle now. Not burning. Not calling. At peace. Far away, a dragon lifted its head and spoke into the stars. He chose the hardest path. Another answered. That is why he was chosen. The boy stood and continued walking as night fell. Above him, the stars moved slowly, watched over by wings of ancient fire. Humanity would rise again, not through domination, but through understanding. And if they forgot, the bond would awaken once more. But for now, the stable boy walked on, nameless, unseen, and content. History would argue about him. Legends would change his story. Some would say he became a god. Others would say he vanished. Only the dragons knew the truth. He was never meant to rule the galaxy. He was meant to remind it what it means to be human.